All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Vinnie Langdon Show. We got Aaron from Gemini Syndrome. What's up, dude? It's been a minute.
It's been quite a minute.
Yeah.
As in years, minutes.
Time goes by fast. We must be enjoying ourselves, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, they do. So tell me, you're currently on tour with Fozzy, the Judas tour. You're going to continue and do another tour right after this. And tell us, how did the whole Judas tour come along? Fozzy reach out to you, management set up?
Yeah, they just asked. I mean, we're label mates with them too, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. We were planning on doing an end-of-year run. We did about 2 weeks of headlines just on our own before this. Met up with them for about 2 weeks, and then we'll be out with Dead Set Society and Spoken for about 3 weeks after that, which will round out the album cycle and the year, and then we'll go back and hit the studio and do another album.
Yeah. And do you like doing that? You like being busy, or do you say, hey, I need a break, go home, hang out with my dogs, and then go back on the road?
I definitely like being home and hanging with the family and stuff, but I definitely also need to be busy.
Yeah.
Idle hands for me are not good.
You go kind of insane, crazy, going, oh my God, I need to get on that.
Yeah, I need to be occupied.
There you go. So for my viewers who are tuning in, they don't know nothing about Gemini Syndrome. This wasn't your first band. This wasn't your first go-around. You played in local bands growing up, and yeah, so when did you decide, like for me, as a kid, I started reading and learning how to read with a karaoke machine, at 3-4 years old, going blah, 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 blah. And for you, when did you, get inspired to pick up a microphone and start singing?
Very early. I was raised around music. My mom's a singer, and so I was, constantly exposed to it. I started taking piano probably around the age of 3-ish. And I've just been involved in music my whole life.
Yeah.
I think I played my first rock and roll show when I was 14, and I've been in bands ever since. I mean, we're looking 30 years of playing music, 20 years of playing music in like a rock setting or a band setting or something like that. So, I went to college for psychology and music theory and composition, and then moved to LA and went to the Musicians Institute for guitar. And eventually that led me to my network there, and I got the OTEP gig. And that was my first pro gig, I guess. And that was a couple of years, and then after I left that band, this happened, and here we are 8 years later.
Crazy. It goes by fast. And you got the 2 records out, working on a 3rd, and the trilogy. Did that kind of just come as it goes, or is it, hey, let's do 3 albums, we'll release some, every few years, or was it kind of, last minute, hey, let's just do a 3rd one, might as well?
No, it was kind of planned, from the early stages to have the first record dealing with kind of light and birth, the second record, Memento Mori, dealing with kind of the journey and the, I guess, the realization or acceptance of your own mortality. Right. The words Memento Mori mean remember that you have to die. And then the 3rd record will kind of deal with the end of the cycle and rebirth and transformation.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah. And having those 2 records, I know a lot of people, they talk about the differences, and it's still your band. It still sounds kind of the same, and each song has different meaning. Obviously, when you're on the road, you're developing, you're self-questioning life too as you're going along, and you talk about we all have family, friends, someone that's goes through a death, and it's kind of like a self-question, period in your time where you think, wow, so-and-so, just passed away. I have, all these things I want to fulfill in life. I better jump to it. And for you, as a musician, that's great to just sit down and write out everything that you're thinking of and put it musically, and that's pretty cool.
That was very well put, by the way. It really does come down to that. It's like, I've been to, a lot of funerals and seen a lot of people go, and as time goes on, even statistically, the older you get, the more people are going to die and that's just the way, that life operates. And it does come down to well, what do I want to do? What am I doing with this time now? I don't want to waste it. And I look back, and I've had a very eventful life, to say the least. There's never a dull moment, but even looking back, I still feel like, oh man, maybe I could have done more here or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of a constant reminder.
Yeah, we're our worst own critics, right?
No doubt about that.
Yeah. So putting out that music, and besides music, you have a background, psychology, and besides that, you kind of did a little kung fu fighting in your time, and you still do.
Oh, yeah.
And anything that inspired that, or was it just started at a young age too and developed?
I was about 14, and we were having some issues with the school system. I won't get into the details about that. And I had an advocate for the education board to the state, and he was a Hapkido master. And you know, at that time period in my life, I was really depressed and dealt with a lot of like just negative teenage angst or whatever. And he suggested that I start coming to his classes, and I started training with him. And eventually, he gave me my black belt in Hapkido, and in that, I was about 16 or 17 at that time. And then we had a guest teacher come in from California to Chicago, and he turned out to be my now teacher in Kung Fu, Manuel Rodriguez, and he did a seminar, and him and his close friend, who lived in Illinois, we became very close. He was like a mentor to me. The first two have since passed away. Manuel still is alive and teaching out of Ventura. I spent a lot of time with him. So I started the Kung Fu journey when I was about 17 or so. Here we are.
Music, and that just proves that a lot of people that are watching this probably are Fozzy, Chris Jericho fans, and they see the similarity where he's in the wrestling universe, but he also is successful with a band. And just like you, it just shows that you don't have to have just one dream. A lot of people say, well, I only want to do this and I only want to be successful as this, but it just shows life is short. And that's why I got into acting, honestly, because it was, well, I want to be a doctor. Well, I want to be a police officer. Well, I want to do this and do that. Well, it's like, even though I'm not doing them full time, if I get a role on a TV show where I was on Discovery Channel, played a cop, I said, okay, I'm done. I did my thing as a cop next,
right.
So it's really cool to,
really shooting at you.
Right. Fake bullets.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's art for art's sake, man. I think they're all kind of related anyway. If I'm not so much a kung fu fighter, you know what I mean? I love the art of it.
Yeah.
I haven't fought in 20 years, and I intend to keep it that way. I don't like violence. I don't like fighting. I don't enjoy it. Right. But the actual science of it, when you go to the traditional Chinese arts, in the very traditional sense, it's mandatory that you learn music. It's mandatory that you learn mathematics, like on the abacus. It's mandatory that you learn calligraphy. It's mandatory that you learn Chinese medicine, and it's mandatory that you learn the actual fighting. So all of those things, and you have to learn, like a stringed instrument, which influences the way you do Chinese medicine, reading pulses and stuff like that. I mean, everything is just intertwined. Right. So it's not to say that you're learning more than one art. You're kind of just learning the whole, the totality of art,
Yeah. Now, going back to being a musician yourself, singing, you're playing the guitar, playing the piano, any other instruments that you play that maybe we hear on the record and we think, oh, that's, so-and-so playing the bass or drums. No, that's really Aaron.
No, on the records, guitar, especially Memento Mori, I did the majority of guitars on that. And the keyboards, did the majority of that. Kane did some too as well. I played drums, but I didn't do any drums on the record. Yeah. I'm never going to get that chance. Brian's not going to let that happen. Yeah. And I can't blame him. He's a better drummer than I am. But. Yeah.
Now, we were talking, earlier before the interview, I said, I haven't seen you guys in a while. How's the lineup? Oh, you got some member changes. And I think that affects, like, a lot of fans, good and bad, where, I think of it as, right the preseason for sports. You have a football team and, for a couple of years you've been following that one guy and, you're like, oh, I like that band. Oh, he got traded or, he got released. But, for you, did you ever have a point as the band going, oh no, we lost our guitarist or bassist, okay, now there's going to be no more Gemini Syndrome. Oh no, I got to worry. Or was it, let me pull a name out of a hat and go for it?
No, I never had the worry that this was going to be, the end of it. No matter, I've been, like I said in the beginning of this, I've been playing music since I was a kid, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. Yeah. If you look at the majority of bands, it's very, very rare that an original lineup actually sticks through. It's just, life happens, man. And whether it be external circumstances that influence why someone can or can't stay, or whether it's internally in the band, people just don't get along. It happens all over the place. And it's just life, man. Right. When you're putting that many people, plus a crew, into a small space for a really extended amount of time, not everybody's going to get along. Yeah. And that could be said about, like, the behind-the-scenes crew stuff, too. Right. Sometimes stagehands or like roadies or techs or whatever, they don't work out either. Yeah. Sometimes, people in the executive part of it don't work out. It's just human relationships. And I think to get too attached to any one thing, really in life in general, you're going to be disappointed at some point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, things are going to change. That's the only guarantee you really have here. Right. So We've got Meeks from Cold Chamber, just joined recently with us. We've been friends with him for many, many years. So he was kind of a no-brainer. And to be honest, I didn't even think about it. It was Brian that kind of brought him into the folds, and I was just like, really? Meeks? Awesome. So it was just, I don't know why I didn't think of that, earlier. Right. But he's a great mix, man. We've been having, I think, more fun recently than we probably ever have.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to spill over into the writing of the third record,
Right.
And like, kind of to touch on something earlier that you said, like, the first record to the second record, things are going to change a little bit. And, you can't, I don't want to write the same record 5 times. Right. I want the next record.
Might as well re-release it.
Yeah. It's going to be different, I promise you.
Yeah.
But it'll still ultimately be this band.
Right.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about your touring life. I mean, a lot of, going across the country, going back and forth, you do miss home. And for you, outside of things, a lot of fans go, oh, that must be cool. You get to try out every Chinese restaurant across the country. You get to go to these, hole-in-the-wall shacks. You're going to thrift stores. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you get to the venue and you're sitting in an auditorium like this for 6 hours going, I got to keep busy.
I know the layout of every Walmart in the country by heart. So if you need anything, I can direct you. If this ever fails, I'll be a great, greeter at the door. I got that on lockdown. All kidding aside, it really is a lot of Walmarts and a lot of parking lots and a lot of gas stations and a lot of hotels. And, like you said, sitting at the venue, you show up at, anywhere from noon to 2 or something, and you don't play till anywhere from 8 to 11 at night. That's a whole day, and then maybe you sneak off and go get coffee or something. So, we definitely try, like, when we get days off. This has been a really busy tour. There's not a lot of days off, and a lot of those days are travel days. We try to at least find, like, a mall with a movie theater, kind of get out into society and not be like the hermits that we really are. There's this idea that, we're in a band and we go out and we play shows and we're meeting fans and we're so sociable, but a lot of the times, man, we're little sardines just, like, clammed into this bus or bandwagon or, God forbid, the van or, the broke down RVs. I've done them all. So
the Fiats, the little Italian Fiats on a band.
Dude, we've literally, we have had breakdowns where we were driving, a U-Haul box truck with the band crammed into like a Suburban, to go from like Tennessee to Georgia because we had to make the show, Right. And then the back trunk things flying open and people's suitcases flew out in rush hour traffic. This is all true. These are all true stories, man. I've done it. And so it's not always the picture that I think people have painted. Right. But on the converse of that, there's a lot of really cool parts about it, too. And there's meeting people every night and being able to play music every night. Right. And we do get to see places, you know what I mean, to some extent. Even if, for me, if it's just driving past, like, skylines of cities, I always find that fascinating. I love looking at architecture and stuff, so...
And half the time you don't know where it is, and then you're like, oh, that was the skyline of Dallas or Austin or whatever. That was pretty cool.
I was thinking of was Dallas. That's what I was just thinking of.
Like, oh, that's neat. Yeah. Yeah. And now... Right. You're like, what town am I? I'm quick. Yeah. So for those, diehard Gemini Syndrome fans that are planning to come out to this tour, the upcoming tour, are you playing some new songs? Are you playing the first album, second album, kind of mix?
Yeah, it's a good mix, yeah.
There you go. And I know a lot of times you go out to shows and, you pay that 30, 40, 50 bucks for a ticket, whatever it is. And, sometimes you're sitting there and you're waiting for that band to sing, one of their songs. And they come out with this, like, 5-minute instrumental intro and and you're going, I just wanted to hear the song the way I hear it on the radio,
Yeah.
Anything that you guys do, or do you guys just like playing it the way the fans know it as?
For the most part, I'd say it's the way it is on the record. For the most part, there's a couple tweaks here and there. One of the things we've been doing is like an acoustic show, a post show.
Nice.
And you get some swag with it. We charge for that. There's a ticket or whatever, but we kind of strip everything down from its original version, and it's played on piano and acoustic guitar and acoustic bass and hand drums and stuff. And that's been really fun. That's actually one of the most enjoyable parts of the day because it's usually only a handful of people. Sometimes it's more, but we did one in, I think, Missouri, where it was one dude. So you got like a solo concert, But it's cool. You get to kind of BS back and forth and banter and make jokes, and it's a lot less, I don't want to say it's less serious than the show, but it kind of is, It's just more personal.
Right.
And we get to kind of let loose a little bit.
There you go. Well, if you want to book Gemini Syndrome for your next bar mitzvah, your next wedding, your next birthday, I mean, hey, you guys are open to whatever.
Yeah, man. Bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know any traditional Jewish songs, but I'm sure we can figure something out. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Aaron, good luck, man, and keep it up another 30 years. You know, Gemini Syndrome, keep it going. Look out for the new record, you know. You never know when. Fall, next year, this year.
Open late spring, early summer. We're trying to have a quick turnaround on this.
Very cool, very cool. Make sure you guys go check them out on tour, support them. I know a lot of your fans are taking pictures in their swag and, you know, sharing it off on their Instagram and all over, so you could be next. You never know. The official model, who knows? So I'm Vinnie Langdon, Aaron Gemini Syndrome, and we'll see you guys on the road.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We hope you had a good time. We know you guys are beautiful. Thank you. Come say hello. We have an acoustic show afterwards. You want to be a part of that? Talk to Jessica in the back. Otherwise, we will see you next year.